Hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm joined today by my dad, Ronnie.
Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
So I'm really thrilled to be able to bring both my parents on the podcast. I was just saying to my dad, he asked me why did I want to bring them on? And one of the reasons is I do think I'm very fortunate to have a really unique relationship with my parents in that I really admire you both.
Thank you.
And my whole life I've always referred to you as my hero. I just think you've been such a powerful example of overcoming things, achieving things, doing the right thing. Sometimes, even for me as a kid, encouraging me to do things that I didn't want to that benefited me.
Good.
Yeah. But and I really part of the reason I'm doing this is so that I have it all documented for the rest of my life. And the other part is because I think that there's so many lessons that I've learned from you that I would love other people to get access to if maybe they haven't had access to those lessons yet.
Okay.
So thank you for your time and your wisdom and raising me. Um, I think that one of the first things to me is growing up and just knowing your story and just such a story of like resilience and achieving things that the top 0.01% of people don't do, or maybe they do, I don't know. But really just such an inspiring story. So for those of you that don't know, I always remember hearing the stories of when you were like throwing plates on the market. Was that to like get attention?
Yeah, I mean, when you're selling something, if you can get people's attention whilst you're selling it, that
Yeah.
helps it, and it's something that'd be interesting for them.
Yes.
And that wasn't the real start. I mean, my start was at grammar school,
Yeah.
and then I went on the markets to earn a living. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, my father died young, mum died young as well.
Yeah.
And I thought went out to earn a living. And I started off with pots and pans and then got into toys as well,
Yeah.
and I spent the rest of my life playing with toys.
Yeah. Dad's famous line whenever he would see kids or joke with anyone would be, I've got more toys than Santa Claus.
Yeah, I've got more toys than anyone you know.
Yeah, and it was true. And I was probably the only kid that liked going to their dad's office.
Yeah.
That was fun. But that's it exactly. So you went to grammar school and did you drop out because of money reasons?
No, I dropped out because I lost interest. That's because, my father died when I started at grammar school,
Yeah.
similar time. And I don't know. I just couldn't, I thought, what's this all about? This life's all about.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to make money so I could
Take care.
take care of my mum and take care of myself. And
Yeah.
and the way I did it was going on the markets, which is the university of life.
The University of Life. Yeah. So then thank you for going back and sharing that bit as well, that personal side.
Most of my schoolmates, a lot of them went off to university, and I went to the University of Life.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
It took you to some interesting places.
It took me to some very interesting places, and there was good days and bad days. They weren't all perfect.
Yeah.
And but I enjoyed the journey.
Yeah. And I think, as a child growing up, it was such an advantage of me when I went into my own business to have you having gone through your own business.
Well, one thing you can't give your children is the experience. You can tell them about it, educate them, but the experiences in life you get are very hard to give. To say,
Yeah.
well, that's the reason I do that, because years ago something similar happened, and I did that, and it worked.
I think that's interesting as a parent generally. It's like you want to tell your kid and protect them from making the mistakes, but there's a line where you can't. They have to.
They have to learn by their own mistakes.
Yeah. But I appreciated, so, I've had my business has done really well and it's had periods of not doing so well, particularly when I was, put on bed rest and that kind of thing. And I remember thinking that meant my business was going to close and it was over. And it was really great to come to you and actually ads. And both of you with much more entrepreneurial experience than me were kind of like, what did you think it was always going to go up at the same percentage?
Yeah. We all wish that. But the reality is sometimes different.
Yeah.
You just got to keep working at it
Yeah.
and take your opportunities.
Yes.
And understand about people and working for you and people that
Yes.
you come into contact with, and get on with it.
Yeah. And I think, so when you say take opportunities, that's a big lesson that I think I've learned from you, is not just to take opportunities, but to ask for opportunities. And when you're given opportunities, to ask for more.
Yeah, keep asking.
Keep asking.
Keep asking, because there's always something new happening.
Yeah.
And there's always something you're learning.
Yes. And I remember as a kid, like being embarrassed by this, that you would always ask places, hey, is there a better seat? I remember being in Selfridges in a shopping centre, like a proper luxury shopping mall, whatever you want to call it. And you were buying me some things and you said, hey, can I get a discount? And I was so embarrassed. And then she said, yeah, if you pay cash. And I was like, what? I would never have thought to ask that.
Yes. If you don't ask, you don't get.
If you don't ask, you don't get. That's like one of the biggest lessons. And I'm even, we're going through it now with some stuff with Gilly's career and everything, and I'm chasing him, or even some of my own personal investments and stuff. And, realizing people aren't going to do things. No one's waiting around to do things that you want them to do. Don't be afraid to ask and ask again.
Say no.
Yes.
As long as you don't ask unreasonably, you've got to. It's always better if you can find a medium in between.
Yeah.
But they will always come to you with medium. Sometimes you have to go to them.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, and that's another thing you told me with negotiation. You said it's a lot harder to go up than it is to go down.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to go up. At time.
Yeah.
But you can always go down.
Yeah.
If you're not agreed a price.
Yes. And I think another thing you taught me when it comes to negotiation is to try and encourage the other person to start.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You ask them for help.
Yes, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yes. And we can't speak about business and life and you leaving grammar school to go work on the markets, then go build, by the way, the largest independent toy company in the UK, which is so cool, without speaking about risk.
Risk is always there. I remember the boss of the biggest toy company in the world, Hasbro, he introduced me to someone once and said, this is Ronnie. He says, we're like a big container ship. We take time to maneuver around. He's the speedboat, nips in and does it in. That's how he's successful. That's how he introduced me.
And I think that's a big thing, because a lot of people, either in business or in work, will look at someone more established or a company more established and say there's no point me trying because they're already there, they're already doing it.
But you can always give a different angle to something, doing things. Sometimes people want it. One of my things that when I used to get the licenses, the big licenses in the world, and I used to say to the company, they used to say, well, we're waiting for that big toy Hasbro or Mattel to make a decision. I said, well, you've got the bird in the hand or the bird in the bush.
Yeah.
If you want the bird in the hand, I'll make a call today.
Yes.
Sure, you might not get quite as much money as there, but at least you've got a good deal and a sound deal.
So listen to that, people. That is a time hacking lesson, right? It's like when you are taking more time to make decisions, you become a less advantaged partner, a less advantaged client. Like that willingness to move fast and make that decision.
It's one of your advantages.
It's your advantage, so use it.
But don't do it recklessly, obviously.
Yeah. So how do you differentiate between doing it recklessly and doing it strategically?
Well, the more information you've got going into it,
yes,
the better decision you can make.
Yes.
And then you get your own experience, what works and what doesn't. And not everything works. No, not everything works. You can look at things and think, that's going to be great. And that one doesn't work. You look at something, I'm not sure, but that becomes the winner.
Yes.
You have to take a risk sometime, but you calculated risk.
I think that's a big thing that I think people think like, okay, I'm in for taking risk if it's going to work out, but the moment it doesn't work out, then maybe this isn't for me, instead of the failures are part of the success.
Definitely. I mean, you have to kiss a few frogs before you get a queen.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that also one of the things that you taught me is, and you still have to do that. That's not just like the first year in business or the first year in your career. That's it. That's the buy-in for everything.
You have to keep doing that. You keep making contacts. Don't stand still or you go backwards.
Yeah, because the world is moving forward.
The world's moving forward. You've got to move forward. Yeah.
I also loved one of the things that you did for us growing up, which was quite different, is you always prioritized us getting world experience and life experience. So just so everyone knows when I was 11 years old for my birthday, Dad used to work a lot in Hong Kong, and to celebrate me graduating junior school on my birthday, I flew by myself to Hong Kong to come and meet you.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I flew comfortably, and I flew, then there was assistance and everything, but I feel like it's such a cool thing, and it's such a cool thing to instill in your kids. And that's just one example, but really you did make the effort. Obviously there were some tougher years and some better years, but when there were better years, you did make the effort to like show us the world.
Yeah,
at a time when it wasn't normal like it is now.
Yeah, it's more normal now, but it was good to see different places, because it educates you how different people live, different people, how they work, how they live, what their life's like.
Yeah.
And it shows you, it's great education in itself. People used to be very focused in their little area and going to one place on holiday every year, the same place.
Yeah.
I tried to show you as many different places as ever. Now, some were great and some weren't as good, but both were great.
Yeah.
I thought. Well, I thought so.
I thought that, yeah.
And that's that. And then.
And another thing, because I think that ties into like our relationship dynamic as a family, and maybe why I even wanted you and Mum on the podcast, and why we have the relationship we have, is you were often, when I was growing up, you were traveling a few months of the year, and I wouldn't see you all that much, but every day I remember walking down to school from the school bus stop to school. We would be on the phone and we would be talking, and I would talk to you about boys I had a crush on, and I would talk to you about lessons. I would share with you things that I don't think most 13-year-old girls share with their parents.
Yeah, well, it's good to be able to talk and have a relationship and be able to say what you want to feel.
Yeah.
And also, I was very driven in my business, when more driven when I had children.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the children, you're thinking, well, I want to do something for them.
Yeah.
I want to give them a good start in life.
Yeah.
And that drove me a lot.
And I will say that I do feel like, I'm not going to go into details, but you did prioritize that, and you walk the talk with that in a really big way.
Yeah.
So it's just very, and I think that's one of the other things that I learned from you, is to walk the talk. A lot of people that join our business or see me work are very surprised that I actually do what I say I do. And I'm like, why would you speak about it if not? And I think that's one of the things that I've learned from you is, don't talk about it.
Do it.
Or do it.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. Just do it. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Another fun thing, and actually what's great, is we just booked our first lesson for your grandson to play tennis. But when we grew up, tennis was like a regular thing that we would do together.
Yeah.
And with ours too. And what I loved about tennis with you though was it was never just about the sport. I feel like there were so many life lessons in it. One of the things that I've spoken about, I think probably before on this podcast, is that lesson of like, if you look at the net, that's where you're going to hit.
Yeah. Look to where you can be successful.
Yeah, look for where you want to go.
Where you want to go and where you want to be successful.
Yeah.
If you look at the downside all the time, you'll have downsides all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, always look on the bright side of life, we say.
Yes. It was just fun to see an activity that I don't think was intentionally meant to be alternatively educational, but it really was, going back to that University of Life.
The University of Life. I think you enjoyed, particularly when I joined you in doubles against your brother and your mother. We used to beat them.
That was the best time.
I used to get very frustrated playing.
That was the best time. But even that, it's such a fun thing that we did growing up together. Like, I really am grateful for those times. I definitely want to speak about, and I think this was probably one of the challenging times in our relationship, when I went to LSE and then I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And I think, you and Mum did not want me to leave.
Well, no, we thought it was a great place to be for you to educate and start your life off and learn things.
Yeah.
And we thought if you go to some of the other universities where you had pals and okay, you might be slightly more content socially, but you wouldn't get the same education that you got at LSE.
Yeah.
And I felt at that time you felt LSE was too good for you, but it wasn't.
That's exactly how I felt. I felt like it was too good for me because also I was explicitly told it was too good for me by the high school that I went to.
Yeah.
And I really was, I was told not to apply. And I really feel like I internalized all of that I'm
Yeah.
not good enough, I'm not smart
Well,
enough.
what I wanted you to prove that you were good enough, and, you know, it wasn't. You got there on merit, and you could
Yeah.
get what you wanted from there on merit. And if you wanted to do something else afterwards, fine. That was something that was great for you,
Yeah.
that you wanted to do,
Yeah.
and you just, you know, you needed that extra little push
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. Yes.
And I would have thought going somewhere else wouldn't have been good for you.
I think it would have been fun, but I don't think it, I think you're right. I think that again, you know, lessons from university from the books, but lessons from the university beyond the books.
Yeah.
It was something that I did. It was something where I was told specifically I couldn't do it. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I went through all that emotional side of investigation. I felt separate from my friends who were all
because you're on your own as well.
and I was on my own.
But we solved all that in the end.
Yes, and I think one of the big things I remember you saying to me was, if you're struggling with school, then like get a tutor. And I worked with a PhD. Like I found that there was a tutor that could help me, and it was like 3 sessions with him was all I needed, because what it was really was my confidence. And I remember sitting across from him, and he was like, "You know it." And I was like, "Oh, right, okay." But my brain was so blocked.
Right.
Yeah,
because you thought, well, this is because whenever you started off, in fact, when you started off at junior school,
yeah,
you were low in the class. When you started off at high school, you were low in the class. But by the time you finished junior school, you were higher in the class. By the time you finished high school, you were higher in the class.
Yeah.
So that's I thought you was following the same pattern.
Yeah.
You felt low at the time when you first went to LSE, but you know you were capable of working your way through, which is important.
Yeah, and I think holding that belief for your kids is very strong.
Yeah. And also, I didn't want you to have the regret later. I wish I'd have stayed there. Why didn't you told me out of it?
Like I said to you about tennis, why did you let me quit?
Yeah. So paying for so many lessons. Both of them quit. And I'm still playing.
Yeah, exactly. We've got luck with the grandson, but I do appreciate it. And what I appreciated it is you didn't force me. I remember going to another university where my friends were and speaking to the head of economics there and begging, and you guys let me do my own investigation. You weren't saying,
yeah, you found out, they gave you the advice to go back.
Yeah, they said to me, you know, you're making a big mistake, and you've got a place next year if you want it, but I'm not going to give you a place now. They said that to me. We'll give you, but give it a year. But I appreciate the whole process, because I know it wasn't easy for you.
No, of course not. You know, it's okay thinking what's right for your kids, but they've got to be on board with it as well.
Yeah.
It's another lesson. If you can work with people as opposed to telling them what to do, or if you can work with people and explain it to them, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that is a good lesson, and letting people do their own research and trusting that, you know,
they come out with the same answer.
Yeah. I even remember actually, and I think part of it as well, if you remember, was in my IS levels. Like when I was 16 or 17, I'd not got the grades that I was predicted. And then that was when school started to kind of shove me aside a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was very cool to have parents that really believed in you.
Yeah, as I said to you, at each level of in schools or unis, you started off at the lower level and come through.
Yeah, which is such a, you know, like I always say, where you start has nothing to do with where you finish. And maybe it came from there, but I speak about it in terms of like even the week. So it could be Wednesday and you could be feeling behind. Well, you can still get ahead of what
time.
Yeah, you've got time. You've got time. That's what this podcast is all about.
And one door closes, another one opens.
Yes. Yeah.
You finish, and 1 week finishes, and the next week you've still got a new start.
The door closing and the door opening thing has been a big lesson for me, so I don't want to skim over it, because I do feel like there are certain times where certain doors are closed, and I felt like game over, and
go on, knock on another door.
Yeah, always something better comes around. Because you're willing to keep asking, to go back to what we said earlier. You know,
it's like customers. I used to go to customers, and I had certain customers, they didn't want to know. Oh, we've got enough suppliers, but eventually they came back.
They called you.
They called me.
Yeah. So keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward, and go work with the customers that you can work with, and hopefully the other ones will come. Yeah, that you'll make them pay attention in the end.
Okay, I have to speak about this because this has been one of the hardest things, and I don't think that I do it. And I do think part of the reason, I'm going to say what it is and then explain. So you always taught us to always do the right thing. And what I mean by that is do right by others, do as others as you would want to be treated. If in doubt, show up. If in doubt, be there, particularly with family things I'm thinking about. And I do think part of the reason this is such a big value for you is because of losing your parents so young.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it feels really impossible to meet the standards that you have for yourself and that you have taught us. And so I don't think I do it all the time. But I also think you leading with that teaching has taught me a lot more.
Yeah, it's like I've got family, we go to occasions abroad. If you got the time and can afford it, make the effort. And it's as much for yourselves as it is for them.
Oh, I mean, in the last few years, we reconnected with more of our family in the US.
Yes.
It's been so fun. And then they came to my wedding, and when me and Giddy lived out there, we had people nearby in Houston. So it is an amazing thing. But my dad happens to come from a huge family. We're just now finding about family in Paraguay. It's like this never-ending family. His mum was the youngest of 11. So you've got like over 50 first cousins. All over the world. I mean, luckily, plenty in Manchester to keep us busy, but sometimes it can feel overwhelming to do the right thing all the time, but I always enjoy it. So you're absolutely right.
That's it. You can get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah.
Something in life, you need to put something in to get something back.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that we've not touched on, like any lessons or anything that you want to share that you think would be fun, like just fun for people to know, or anything that struck you in your life as like something valuable?
Valuable is, building relationships with people. Sometimes just because you're doing business doesn't mean you can't be friendly with them, or you can't socialize with them, and just having been able to talk to them as a real person, not because you want something from them or they want something from you. If you can talk to them and get on a nice friendly relationship, it can't do you any harm, and also it's good for you as well because you feel more comfortable with them.
I think that's it completely. It's like you actually enjoy the experience more. You actually want to spend time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you still don't want to do something, sell, buy, invent, whatever. But it means that you're on a sort of a more reasonable level with each other.
Yeah.
When you're doing business, and you understand their needs, and they can hopefully understand your need, what you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not all black and white.
Yeah.
Life isn't black and white. Nothing is.
Yeah.
And that's it. You got to accept sometimes things don't work, or they do work.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you don't buy the lottery ticket, you can never win.
Exactly. To come back to that taking risk. And since you're here, is there anything that you think the audience would find funny about me, or anything from when we were younger?
Yeah, I always, the main thing I remember is you saying to me, why are you stricter with me about going out than Adam? Right? So I said, so I had to think about it for a minute, because it did seem a bit unreasonable if I was stricter with her and my son. I says to her, listen, your brother, if anyone kidnapped him, right, they give him straight back. you the key, and that kept me able to be stricter with you for another 2 years.
For another 2 years, till I ran away to the other side of the world.
Yeah, but that allowed me to keep you under more control for 2 more years.
Yeah, it's interesting. Me and Mum spoke a little bit about the dynamic at home, and me pushing against the the more traditional dynamic for us. But I think the most important thing is that we had those conversations, and I think actually, I'm going to touch on one last thing if you're game to it.
Depends what it is.
I'm not going to tell you before. I remember telling you that I was leaving finance to be a coach. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was, and obviously you didn't understand what it was, so it wasn't a great conversation. But how do you feel about it now?
I feel you're doing something that you're enjoying, and you seem to be very good at. And that's also important in life. I mean, some people can go through life and they're working in a job they absolutely hate, And at the end of the day, sometimes it works for them, but it's better if you can enjoy what you're doing. I
Yeah.
enjoyed what I was doing.
Yeah.
I took a lot of pleasure out of what I was doing. But sometimes it takes time to find out what you enjoy and what you don't. And sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you have to work in something that's not something you particularly enjoy, because, you know, at the end of the day, that's what you know, and that's how you're going to earn a livelihood. So but if you find something that you enjoy more and you can do well at it, that's great. That's even better.
Yeah.
If you're happy what you're doing, it's super.
Yeah, and the last lesson that Danny taught me, and this was such a good lesson, you called it Remy Gelt, because if on you, do you want to explain?
No, you know.
So on whatever you want to do, if you can get paid to learn. So for example, when I started coaching, I was hired by the school that certified me to coach their clients, much like I now, you know, train our own coaches and then they can coach our clients. But you always taught me, like, if you can get a job,
Where you get paid to learn
what you want to
what
learn.
you want to learn. That's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah,
That was such a good lesson.
Yeah, we call it Remy Gelt.
Yeah.
You're getting paid for doing something that you want to learn about in any case. So that's marvelous.
Yeah, I love that lesson from you. And I am so proud to be your daughter and so grateful.
I'm proud to be your father.
Ah, I've got it on record. If you are watching this on YouTube video, you probably think we look like twins, which is cute. But thank you for being here, Dad.
Thank you.
Mwah. Love you.
Love you.
Okay.